Domestic violence. Numerous laws have been passed that forbid this heinous act. The public enthusiastically rallies in defense of battered women, protesting and raising awareness to help the women who fall victim to this despicable crime. Hotlines and shelters are created to help them, and any form of domestic violence will result in swift, harsh action from the authorities, as it should be. However, there is a segment of this topic that is hidden from the public and silenced when it reaches the surface. Does anything seem wrong to you? Anything off? Well, to me, something is seriously wrong with these kinds of pushes towards ending domestic violence. Where are the men? And when I bring up men, I do not mean men as the perpetrators, I mean men as the victims. 1 in 3 victims of domestic violence are male, whether that be physical, emotional, mental, or other. Around 1 in 4 men have experienced physical violence from an intimate partner. That's a sizable number of male domestic violence victims, yet what do we hear from the media? Nothing. The media and others who watch it push the narrative that men are always the perpetrators of domestic violence and women are always the victims. It breaks my heart when I read about what these men have to suffer through.
I'll never forget this. He said, if she starts hitting you again, you better get out of there fast, because if she just breaks a fingernail trying to hit you, we'll arrest you.
She'd turn around and punch me in the head in front of a young bloke. She came in and was just verbally assaulting me. I ended up in a fetal position, sucking my thumb.
I'd try to barricade myself into a room or into a space. All my stuff would get smashed or broken. There'd be repeated sort of kicking and smashing on the door.
Rang up Department of Community Services, and I was told by a woman on the end of the phone, sorry, I don't believe you because only men abuse women.
And when I hear about the legions of men who are beaten black and blue, are sexually harassed and even raped, are trapped in relationships by their significant other, regardless of their gender, I feel the need to make videos like this. It's become more apparent as time has gone by, and I have seen more and more of this, how incredibly important it is that the voice of battered and abused men is heard. The narrative that women are always the victims both disempowers women and makes it so that the public does not care when men are the victims. Men who have been physically, mentally, emotionally, or sexually abused are not treated with the respect they deserve. They are laughed at by their peers, the police and our court system don't take their cases seriously, and they are turned away by nearly every domestic violence shelter under the sun. Surely when 1 in 3 victims of domestic violence is male, 1/3 of the shelters should accept males. That could not be further from the case. Men and boys need your help because they are human beings too. If you want to make a difference in the lives of abused and battered men, I urge you to go to 1in3.com.au. They have stories, more statistics, and resources to help better educate people on the silent victims. It is important that regardless of our gender, we all stand up and unite against all forms of domestic violence as one.
Welcome to the Spicy Grays, the Unspoken Heart. As you know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness, but women are not the only one that go through a lot of violence. So with that due, Keisha.
Yes. Our guest today, he was born and raised in Chicago. Advocate for the voiceless with domestic violence, mental illness, and children. The Rose, Portrait, Deacon, and Black Panther for the Children Black Panther Society. His aphorism is, "My father knew my peace, and that's what saved me. For it's not who you knew, it's what you do." Without further ado, I present to you Mr. Mondrea Harmon.
Brother, my brother. Boom. How you doing there, my brother?
Man, what's going on, family?
How you
Boy,
doing?
Oh, we
did you
do.
see that magical mile I had to sprint to get back to you?
My brother, we are so happy to have you here on the show. But before we continue, why don't you tell the audience out there a little bit about yourself?
Oh, man, ain't too much to talk about. I spend more time
Uh,
bragging on God than I spend myself.
hey,
Um,
you know,
Look, I'm young, 51 young, South Side of
mhm.
Chicago born, bruh.
All
Uh,
right.
Definitely a activist to the fullest. I'm what's called a
Mhm.
Panther Cub because our parents were the original Black Panthers that moved here in the 60s.
Right.
Still keep the movement going. I'm what you would call I'm a movement person. If I'm not starting a movement, I'm in a movement because that's just the
Yes,
way that we were raised, and that's in the blood.
yes, yes, it
But I
is.
will tell
Yes, it
you
is.
this: I'm an open book, brother Dwight. So whatever you need, just call upon me.
Yeah, you know what? I know that for a fact. I have seen things that you have done and everything. So you right about that. You are a true brother. Um, One thing I want to talk about, as you know, is domestic violence month, and it's just not women. You know, men we go through physical abuse, mental abuse. So, can you give us some of the things maybe that you might have went through?
You know what, bro? I sat and I thought about this for a minute. I mean, I really thought about it because you get on here on these platforms, then your
Right.
homeboys get the clown in you. I thought it was real smooth what the guy said in the piece. He said how folks get to laughing at you and and stuff like that. So how many people going to step up? But I did say I was 51, which means
Mhm.
the young me don't think like the old me.
Right.
I tell
That's
you,
right.
the decisions I made, even the decisions that I'm in, is because of the abuse that I gotten, And I've touched abuse on all the gamuts. My dad used to beat on me like it was my fault. You
Mm.
know, it was so bad. It was so bad. And then I got beat on because I was darker than my sister and my brother because those was my half sister and half brother. So I had to take the hell of that. Uh,
Mm.
and then I started making decisions of who I was going to deal with. And I had a type of woman at the time, and she had to be overbearing, pushy as hell, uh, and kind of quick with that hand, because that's what I was
Mhm.
used to. I didn't realize I was making that decision, not until I
Right.
got as old as I am now.
Mhm.
Uh, and it was I mean, in everything you reach the gamut of emotions from being embarrassed. I had some friends over who, and it's funny because they're on the line now listening. But I had some
Right.
friends when I was in grammar school who came to my house. Uh, we was gonna have when people used to spend the night at your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Old school.
I had my homies over. I'm gonna be the big dude back on Monday because we all kicked it at my house. My old man came home so drunk. He not only put his hands on me, but he put my homeboys out. They had to call their mamas. We had to hide next door at a neighbor's house.
Oh.
So imagine how I was not the big man on campus when I got to school on Monday.
Not to say, not for that day. You're right.
Yeah, I became the class clown, boy.
What age did it start at?
About 7.
About 7.
About 7. And I went to a Catholic school, and I finally had got enough courage up to say something to one of the priests. And so the priest had reached out. Wow. The priest had reached out to my parents and was talking about what was going on because we always had to go to church on Sunday, and I'm walking funny, and they tried to figure out what was going on. And my old man, real smooth, put his hand on my shoulder and said he hit a tree on his bike, but he was all right. And I ain't know what to do because I'm 7, so at that time, yeah, I guess maybe I did hit the tree.
Wow.
I knew what happened, but again, when you get older, you know better. You got to do better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have to say that picture that was flashed up there, you looked real cute in that picture. You all dressed up and sass up there, my brother. You looked good. Yeah.
Shout out to my mama, boy. She had them skills. That was the business back in the day, boy. That was crushed.
Yeah, that's the outfit right there. I remember having some clothes like that myself.
I had on some Brussels brown shoes. Man, I was killing it.
Yes, you was, my brother. Yes, you was.
I was talking about I said, you know what, sis? We have gone through a whole lot. I was telling her about the program tonight and what we've gone through as a family. And through the midst of all of that, I got to love on my mom because even though we was going through hell, she still made it heaven.
Oh. Wow. I'm good. Yeah. Strong black woman right there. Strong black woman.
I get everything from her. And it was the big conversation I had with her to the Most High to say it's finally time. You're 51, go on and tell your truth because there's a brother out there who needs to hear it.
Yes.
And no disrespect to what's going on with the women because it's out of order. But I really believe that the abuse of a man turns into the abuse of a woman.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right about that. I agree. Let me say this now. Through the years as you was growing up to a young man and down the years and everything, the relationships you was in and everything, how did that became about with the relationships you was in and maybe some things you went through some of your relationships?
Man.
Oh, wait a minute. Look at you. Oh, my brother. Look at you.
That's right there sitting on that infinity. Yes, Lord.
Woo. Yeah, boy. Look, hey, I like that.
Breaking bitch.
Come on now, they on my wall right now. And those are actually African slave chains that was taken off the ship in Jamestown. So they have like real value and a blessing. But what you were saying about the relationships, and I told you I had to have an overpowering woman. That's what I dealt with for so long. There was a situation where the woman had our child run across the street, to the next door neighbor, and called the police and said, he's putting his hands on me. Police came, they looked at the situation, and the brother he asked me, he said, where you on your way to? I said, I promise you, believe it or not, I'm on my way to Bible study. And he said, why don't you not come back here tonight, Because if you come back here tonight, we're gonna have to arrest you regardless. I'm the
wow.
one who got the hands on and the pushing and the slamming up against the wall.
Wow.
But a part of me felt like I deserved that. That's the relationship I'm supposed to be in, you know. I was young, I'm dealing with young thoughts, I'm dealing with a woman with young thoughts, and we acting young, uh, young and deadly.
Yeah.
But again,
Yes.
I watched my
Yes.
mom get beat for 21 years. She took a behind whooping for
Mm,
21 of my years. So we're not gonna even include the time that they were together before I
mm.
was born. But
Right.
he
Right.
felt like that was his job, and he was good at it.
Right.
And when he
Mm.
got tired of whooping on her, he said, "I'm gonna just move on down the line." And I look just like my mom's if I had on a wig and no beard. Um,
Yes.
and so it was easy to transfer whatever was going on with him to me. And it got to a point when my great uncle died, my mom was real smooth. She ended up moving me out of the house and to stay with her, and was like, this is
Right.
just a ritual that we do. When somebody passes away and there's nobody else in the house, we'll take the oldest son. My mom was smooth like that. So she got me out of the situation and
Mm,
getting beat on for a minute. And
right.
I thank her for that. And again, when I found out that that man was not my father, and
Mm.
Mm,
I'm living on the south side of Chicago,
Mm.
keep the
mm.
gangsters in our back pocket. When he came over that
Yes.
last time and started throwing stuff in the house, I promise you we flipped the script.
Mm, mm. Lord
And
have
my mom
mercy.
said at that point she
That's
knew it was time to get out. When we started standing up and fighting back, she knew it was time. She knew we were at a point that we could handle the situation. She did everything for us. She sacrificed for us
right. Right.
this whole situation, but it messes with a man's mind. It messes with his decisions. It messes with
Yes, it
how he
does.
functions.
Oh.
Mm.
So
Yes, it does. And that's a lot. That's a lot.
I have a question. How did you how are you coping with all that you've been through as a child?
Um, well, I'm older now, and not only have I learned how to compartmentalize, what I did was I started to lean real heavy on my faith and got real smooth with the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fight every day, and it's a fight in every relationship because it's in me. I know it's in me, and if I succumb to it, then I'm putting my hands on everybody because I got this aggressive inside of me. But I always
Mm.
said I never wanted to be like my dad. And so that's the battle I have when I have to figure out what would a man do. I end up going to my pastor who's here in San Antonio
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because I learned how to be a man from his situation.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
And so I tell young men,
Mm-hmm.
it's adaptability. You got to put yourself around people who want better for you,
Yes.
who's willing to teach you a couple of things realistically and how this world works. And that's how, but I promise you, sis, it's a struggle. I just had to let somebody go here
Yes,
in
it
San
is.
Antonio, just evil. And I had to realize,
Wow.
man, it's there's so many sicknesses and so much stuff going on in the world. You don't need nobody who's gonna add more drama to your plate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
Well, Mr.
Don't need no
Mr.
more drama or none of that.
You talked about earlier some of the organizations that you are in. How did those organizations play a role in your life? And can you just tell us a little bit about them?
Um, well, I am a part of an organization called the Black Panther Cubs, and so we're the children of the parents. What it taught me is that one, I didn't need gang banging anymore. It taught me how
Mm-hmm.
to organize and fight for the little person. Uh, when they started doing the breakfast programs and things of that nature, uh, it just it puts meaning back in your life. You putting work in your neighborhood. You planting seeds to grow better than with how you grew. You know,
Right, right.
and I also have an organization called Poetic Therapy, and we do poetry. And I promise you, um, I
Wow.
spent my whole life on stage. That I am just such an
Mm-hmm.
open book now, and it just gave me the empowerment to take something back. I didn't waste all those years. There was
Mm-hmm.
something that I learned from them. Yeah, it was hell, but some people got to go through that. You know, they say if a diamond needs to get pressured to make a diamond, and so I just plan to shine bright. And then that
Mm-hmm.
organization is called Ashe. It's an organization of Black storytellers. And what we do is we keep the oratorical African storytelling alive. And we tell all kinds of stories from folk
Mm-hmm.
tales to mysticism to everything. We go into the hospitals, uh, we catch the elders. Everybody wants to, hear a good old story from
Right.
somewhere.
Yes. Can you ask you
That's right.
this?
That's right. That is so
How were you introduced into like the organizations of such as Black Panthers? How did you get involved?
Because I used to work at the DuSable Museum in Chicago, and that was about the history of our people.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a young man who came
mm,
in there, and I'm an MC, and so they wanted me to introduce this young man. And so as I've known the story, and there's a movie about him now called Judas and the Black Messiah. So that story is about Fred Hampton. And at the end of that movie is a picture of Fred Hampton Jr. and his mom, Mama Akua.
Mm-hmm.
So the
right.
young man I had a chance to introduce was Fred Hampton Jr. And once I did my thing for him, he came to me and he said, "There's nobody who's who was able to wrap up the story of my family like you did, introduce me like you did." He was like, "You could do that for me anytime." And our relationship just maintained. And he introduced me to the organization. I told him about my parents being a part of his dad's organization. And all we had to do was just show up and show out for the young men who are still in prison, who are catching wreck right now.
Right.
The young women who are in prison, like in Chicago, we had to fight because women were in prison and they were forced to use the same tampons over and over again.
Wow.
And we had to
Whoa.
provide ways of getting these women the toiletries and stuff that they needed. Because you in jail, you are not less than a human,
That's true.
and we gotta love on them because
Right.
hopefully sometime they're gonna be back out.
Right.
So that's how I got
That's
to that.
right. Right. You right about
What advice would you give
now
young men?
my brother, I got to ask you.
Hold on, Baba King was talking.
Oh, go ahead, Dominic.
What advice would you give young men
Mm-hmm.
that are trying to get to the mindset that you are at, but at in advance? Because I understand that you're older and you've been through, what I'm saying, a lot more. But what about the young? I mean, what would you tell the young men that are trying to get to that mindset?
I tell them cats, I've been where you've been already. I done already did the gang banging thing. Ain't nothing new on the planet.
Right.
Kind of hurting because dad wasn't there, didn't stick around and whatnot. But guess what? You hear and you hear and you hear for a
Mm-hmm.
reason and
Mm-hmm.
understand that God don't make no
Right.
mistake. Whether that man who got you here was just a vessel to get you here, you got a job to do. And you can't use the
That's right.
crutch of my daddy wasn't here once you get a certain age. We got to stand up. We got to make the decision because we at the age now that we having children and we got to love on our children because if we don't do it, then they're going to be running wild.
That's
You
right.
know,
Tell
you're
it.
powerful. Every
That's right.
morning you wake up, God decided that you were here for a reason. That means your job ain't done yet. That means you got something else to do. You have purpose. And surround yourself with men who will tell you, who are grown enough to tell you that you have purpose.
Amen. All right, now with that being said, we'll be back. We're going to take a break and we'll be back to talk to my brother. So please stay tuned.
Peace
Yeah.
and blessings.
This week, we are drawing particular attention to the issue of domestic violence ahead of Saturday night's Girls' Night Out event. One element that is often overlooked is domestic violence directed at men. But as 13 News reporter Shannon Litton explains, there's help for them too.
People tend to think of Mel as being tough, just being able to take care of things themselves and not needing help as much.
Trish Miles is a counselor at Resolve in Charleston. She has 10 years of experience working with domestic violence victims and survivors from all walks of life. At a time when women are considered the most likely victims of domestic violence, she says male victims are frequently overlooked or even ignored.
How do we stop making this a taboo subject to talk about when it comes to men?
More education.
And by that she means empowering men to speak out and telling them it's okay to come forward with their stories.
Nearly half of all women and men in the United States have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And it's no secret that more women are victims to physical abuse. With men, advocates and counselors say the abuse is primarily psychological.
That doesn't mean men can't be physically abused. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1 in 10 men in this country will be physically attacked or stalked this year by an intimate partner, while 1 in 7 over the age of 18 will be the victim of severe physical violence by a partner. Still, for most men, the problem is mental abuse.
Name calling, belittling, making their self-esteem very low, making them think that they're not worth anything.
Usually with men, it's more they use the kids against them. It's more of like the mental abuse and stuff, and sometimes it is physical.
Go tell mommy that if she doesn't do this, that this is going to happen, or go tell daddy that if he doesn't do this, that this is going to happen.
But the one thing both men and women share in common when it comes to domestic violence is the struggle of breaking the cycle of abuse. Something as simple as picking up the phone.
Seek help. Call the YWCA. We have counseling, we have support groups, we can develop a safety plan.
In Huntington, I'm Shannon Litton, 13 News, working for you.
And we want to remind you, if you've experienced domestic violence, there are services available no matter who you are. As you just heard there, the YWCA has resources for everyone. And we have a link to those resources. Go to our website, wowktv.com/raise up your voice. And while you're there, we hope that you will also click on and get tickets to join us for Girls' Night Out this Saturday night, because desperate funds are raised that they need to run so many of these programs that will continue to help people across the tri-state.
Page, an empty page. Keep going.
All right, we back on the Spicy Gray Show, which is October, Domestic Violence Awareness, and women are not the only one that's going to abuse. So we have our guest, Brother Hammond, on the show, and he's telling his side of the story of a man on the man's side, because many men are mentally and physically abused as well. My brother.
Hey.
Hey. Now, before we continue, I have to ask you. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Before we go on, I have to ask you, where is that chair, the Black Panther? I love that chair. Where's that chair at? Is it in your house? I gotta come there so I can take a picture. Man.
Look, if I can, man, that chair is at the Carmel.
Look at that. I love that picture. I mean, that picture right there. I just love it, my brother. I love it. I would love to take a picture. Like I was saying, let me take that picture. Got that chair at. But my brother, give us a little bit.
Carmel Library. Just ask them. They got it in the back.
Oh, they got it. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's here in San Antonio.
Now, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, but me and you're going to talk then. We want to definitely talk about that.
I love going to the Carver Library.
Oh yeah, it's a great law. I ain't been there for a minute. I definitely ain't been there for a minute. Now, my brother, I have to ask you, during the time, have you been more than one relationship you've been in that might be like any kind of domestic violence or anything such as?
Yeah, a little younger, I was in so-called love, and this girl was being abused by her parents, and she would take that out on me. It was every day she was mad about something and swinging and hitting, and of course I'm bigger than her, so ain't nobody gonna believe that this little girl is doing what she's doing. So I just have to, keep it to myself. Why your lip busted? Why is your eye this, that, and the third? And just mad. And the scary part is I'm looking in her eyes and I can see the hatred that she has that's really not for me, but that's the only way she can express it. That's the only way she can get it out.
Yeah.
And my mind is so analytical. I would look at that saying to myself, you can put your hands on this girl and get her up off of you, right? You know it ain't gonna take much for you to get her up off of you, right? But I felt in a warped kind of way once again, since I'm used to it already. Let me let her get it out and move on, versus getting in some real big trouble, and being behind bars, and then I got to really fight.
That's true.
I'll never forget my brother. Look, my brother was because we were all in the same house. He took right after my dad. He put that hand to some women, and I would always tell him, I'm gonna need you to calm down. I'm gonna need you to calm down. You got to be better. You got to be better. He would go to jail. My mama would get him out of jail. When my mama passed away, he went to jail, and he had to do a year in a maximum penitentiary. And the one phone call I'll never forget is he called me and he was crying. He said, I can't even go to sleep here because I got to fight every night.
Right.
Now you got to ask yourself, you got to ask yourself a major question. You can put your hands on this woman and get up off of you, and now you're going to have to fight every night.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
How did you get out of that relationship?
Huh?
How did you get out of that relationship? How did it end it?
She passed away.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Complications due to kidney failure. She passed away. And I think, I think about her on a regular.
Right.
Because as anybody will tell you, in the midst of all of that, there were some really good times. Them same people who punch on you hard can actually love on you hard.
Right.
Which gets really confusing because when you want to just walk away, then some part of you say, do you really want to get out? Well, hell yeah, if he put his hands on me, but your mind, again, young thinking, and being used to that situation, you think, oh, well, I'm man enough to deal with it. Not get out of it, but I'm man enough to deal with it. And so you sit there and you deal.
Right.
Which definitely is not healthy. I know
That's
that
true.
now, but you couldn't tell me that then.
Yeah.
What would you tell your young self now?
Get your butt out of that foolishness. Because foolishness is foolishness. If she can't love on you like you would love on you, if she can't get down like you want to get down, then hell, you don't need that.
Do you think your young self would listen?
The way I talk to me, oh, my young self would have got it. My young self would have got it.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of young people stay in relationships, even through the violence and the abuse. It's because they feel like they are attached to that person and they don't want to let them go. So they would just rather tolerate the abuse and And so they stay there.
And you think you could change that person. If I hold on and I just stay in this fight, they're going to finally get it. And then they're going to be better. And then they can be their 100% better self.
Mm-hmm.
But don't nobody change until honestly they're really ready to change.
Yeah.
They can say whatever they want to say. Baby, I'll never hit you again. Baby, I got your back. It was that one time with your lying self. Because you're going to go back to what you're comfortable with. You're going to go back with what you know. Didn't I just have to smack you before? I'm going to smack you now. Shut up and sit down. You know?
Yeah.
But you can't change nobody until they
Now,
really.
this is what when all this going on, this is what about your poetry. When you put most of those feelings into poetry and everything, the poetry and everything.
Yeah. I lived
with your poetry, all right. Yes.
I didn't hear you, Brother Dwight.
I said this is the part when all that you've been through, all the things that you've been through, writing your poetry. This is what I wrote a couple of poems and everything, poetry and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a poem about a guy who needed to get his act together. And if he would have got his act together, his wife wouldn't have got killed searching for him. And now he got to be a man for his children because he wasn't the man that he should have been in the beginning. You know, I'm heavy on men, man. I'm heavy on dads who don't love on their children because I know what I didn't get. And I know since what I didn't get so long to get it, how dare I make a child go through the same weight? That's out of order.
Right.
That's not godly. That's not African. That's not anything.
You're right about that.
How old are the young men that attend that are in the Black Panther, the Cub? How old are those young boys?
We grabbing them from 12 to 50.
Wow.
Okay. Just basically life skills and how to cope with just life, being without a father, and just basically.
We step in, we stand into the gap like insurance. You know, we use the old African adage: if a man goes to war and gets killed, the uncle from the family becomes the father of the family that lost their dad.
Yeah.
Because we don't keep holes in the family. We cover up all gaps. That's why I say we like insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do for the young. We let them know. We let them know how powerful your protest is. We let them know how powerful your voice is, and that community over everything. My daughter is 11, and what she wants to do, she wants to become a construct worker. She wants to build houses for the homeless in the community. That's her mindset at 11.
All right.
Wow.
That's good. Yeah.
Because that's what we put into them. If we don't plant these seeds right, man, we can't be mad at them when they start acting wild. Chicago going through hell right now. They shooting police. They don't have no fear of nobody now because these young people are wilding. But they only wilding because the parents wasn't parent. It was a parent that they wasn't there.
You're right about that. Right. That's why so many of them like that, because there's no parents or no fathers or the mothers.
You remember
not together.
You walk past the church and you and your people just talking and cussing, but as soon as you get to the church, you straighten up.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's because a parent put that in you. Don't you be out there acting out of order. You know, you out there and you wilding, but as soon as you get to that church, you straight up like a church mouse.
You better straighten up.
Look, you ain't gonna cuss out your parents.
Oh no.
We what? I see these children talking to people.
Lord.
Yeah, man.
Don't do.
Exactly.
I'm from that old school too. You
teaching them that. How we gonna expect them to do better?
Yes.
Right.
I know we're teaching them probably how they should act when they become men.
Absolutely. We got to walk up right,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I will say this. I hated my father for a long time. And even when I found out he wasn't my real dad, I really was not pleased with this man until my mom passed away. When my mom passed away, she gave me a golden nugget to just really look at the man that he was. And she stayed with this man because she realized he had a third grade education. After third grade, he had to go in the fields and work in the fields for the family. All he had was a third grade education. His daddy used to beat his mama. So it was ingrained. He only did with what he knew. And I felt sorry for the individual because I'm so blessed to know and live a different kind of way. And even though he wasn't able to give me that, there was other things that he did do for the family. Now, I ain't making no excuses because he was wrong and out of order. But I understand the situation that had him to act that way. And my thing now is to change that situation. And the only way we can change that situation is fathers got to stop jumping around at the club, having all these kids that they don't have no time for. Then the kids got to feel in this kind of way. Or you come home and you mad because she ain't the one that you really wanted. You put your hands on her. Your kids watch that. And now they're going to just repeat the cycle in the situation. If you want to break this cycle, you got to break your actions. You got to get in there with them kids. You got to love on them kids. Read them bedtime stories at night. Let them know that they're the best thing going. I got 3 girls, and I promise you, they're going to be hell on a husband.
I hear you. Amen. Now with that, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna watch a video of a woman abusing her ex, and we want to get your feeling on the video that we'll watch. So we'll take this break of this video, and we get everybody's feeling on it.
Gotcha.
Terry just threatened to bust my windows. She just hit my vehicle right there in the back, and she pulls off and scrapes my vehicle. That right there is where she hit my shit from behind earlier. Now she's pulling off. She thinks that's cool. What is she gonna try to hit my shit? What is she gonna do? Let's see what she does. She's climbing into the back of the vehicle. I have no idea what she's doing back there. I don't want any issues with her. She's not even supposed to be here. She has 2 open cases against me, both in which she has retracted her original statements. So she claims I'm abusing and harassing her, but clearly I'm not. Okay, she has something in her hand to bust windows with. She just bust my window, and now she's leaving. This is the window she just bust for no reason. Because I wouldn't open the door, but obviously I'm not going to open the door. You got me locked up at my brother's house one time with false accusations of me putting my hands on you. And then she pops up at this very house in October, I believe. And she basically, and that's when I give her a chance. I let her come in, grab her few things that were here, which wasn't much, but she made it seem like a big deal. I trusted her enough to let her in and get her things. And what did she do? She smashes my TVs and, you know, all of this in front of the kids, then calls the police. I'm dealing with DSS and court cases and all of that behind this woman, Terry Thompson, who has just keyed my vehicle, threatened to come back, smash my windows, rear-ended my vehicle right there under the license plate, and has just returned to impromptly, whatever the term would be, but she comes here and does a random smash on my window. Why? I don't know. Video evidence. Terry just keyed the side of my car. I actually just got painted over because she sideswiped it. Terry just did that. And there it is. She has smashed my vehicle. There goes Terry right there. She has just returned to smash my vehicle. She knocked my vehicle into my neighbor's vehicle, and now she is reversing. And I'm going inside because I want to avoid any further issues. Okay, I think she's gonna finish up. I think she's finishing up on the car.
You're gonna treat me? After all the shit I've done for you, this is how you treat me, right? Really?
Now she has just smashed my window, my rear windshield. This is crazy. Terry Thompson, and she's calling me now. That is crazy. I've done way too much for this girl for her to ever do something like that to me.
Welcome back to the Spicy Gray Show, the Unspoken Hour. Once again, this is the month for domestic violence, and it's just not women. Men go to mental abuse and physical abuse just as women. Now, I want to talk about the video we just saw and get everybody's feeling on this video. I can say for myself that something similar like this happened to me. My younger days, brother. My tires got slashed, window got broke. I even had a woman hiding in my bushes, said she was gonna kill me. So men go through a lot of violence issues just as much as women, and I'm pretty sure most people have went through something in their life as that. So I just want to get y'all feelings on the video y'all just seen.
So
That could be anybody.
I'll go first then. That was ridiculous. That woman should be locked up for years. That is no excuse. I don't know what their backstory is behind all of this, but for you to come out there and be that darn violent, you need to be off the streets, male or female. In this case, female. You need to be off the streets. If it was a man, he would have been locked up already, thrown in handcuffs on the ground, probably tased and everything else, or shot. She should have been locked up.
I agree.
Definitely, I absolutely agree. That was just ridiculous, and there's absolutely no telling, what. That wasn't the first time it happened. That what we seen in the video. That was the first time it happened. So, like I agree, she needs to be off the street with that. That's ridiculous.
I think she just needs to come to grip that. I mean, the man does not want to be with you. And even with you acting like that, do you really think that this man is going to be with you after you have destroyed his home, his vehicle? Apparently you're causing him emotional stress. I wouldn't be with you either, but I agree with everybody else. I would take that to the police and I would get her locked up.
I agree. Definitely agree.
I waited to the end because, of course, I agree with everybody. But what I'm honored about is, did you hear how calm the brother was as he was documenting the situation? Men don't realize that we got to be that calm in the situation, because if he would have made a phone call to the police irate, then they would have known it's by nature this angry black man then did something. The way he just documented everything, he made sure that he was saying on there, I'm going back inside so I don't have another altercation with her, because she came up talking. He could have stood there and argued and whatnot. He removed himself from the situation. When a man goes through this, he got everything on the planet to think about, because he could be in the right and still go to jail.
Right.
At some point, I feel like it should be a line.
That's right.
There should be a line drawn between, you know, how far a woman can go. Because usually you always see the man go to jail, the man get in trouble, the man, getting locked up. We need to see there should be a line drawn somewhere where the woman can go to jail too. Like, like in that video, I'm sure she probably got a slap on the wrist, but like you said, if a man does it, I'm sure he would have got tased, shot, all kinds of stuff,
And then on top of that, he's gonna get sued for the damage.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
right.
Ridiculous.
So
It's crazy.
dawned on me. I was proud. I was sad he was going through, but I could hear how he had to fight his man urge of being upset and snapping, because it was obvious he only got one car. That's the one he got to go to work in. How he going to work now? Now you about to mess with my money. All this I'm thinking about, and I got to stay focused.
Right.
So I don't.
And they have kids.
Say that again.
And they have kids, because he was saying that he was going through something with people. So apparently they have children together.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be something that's going to be short-lived for him.
Absolutely. And his daughter, if he has a daughter, she's going to act the same way.
She might. Or she might take out the daddy.
And that's going to be scary too, because then she's going to be in an abusive relationship.
I hope she take out her dad.
Yeah. If you would,
that's right. Both sides. That's sad.
So, if that young lady was in your face right now and you was sitting face to face with her, what would you tell this young lady?
I said earlier, I am analytical. So if it was me, I would remind her of where she come from. Remind her of the stock that she really represents. You're not out here like these young kids walking around saying that they are savage. Understand what the definition of a savage. And that ain't you. That's not the demon part of you. You got to do better. And if you think putting your hand on me is the way to get off, then there's a whole lot more we got to work with you. You represent the gods of this planet. How's a goddess gonna act like a dog? You living what these people want you to do, living in reverse. You took the God out and put the DOG in there. You got to reverse that back around and get back to your goddess status. And then you can allow me to treat you like a goddess.
Right, and not only that, I feel like that in our community, the African American community, I feel like that we need to get back to the counseling and resources part of our community, with the mentors, with the with the church pastors, with the we really need to get back with that, so that way we can revert our anger. We can be able to express ourselves better. You know what I'm saying? With our children, with our spouses, with our with everybody. I feel like that we need to get back to like now, like I'm going through some personal issues right now, and I say, well, okay, let's go to counseling. And this is not, this is not a significant other. This is a parent. Let's go to counseling. Maybe go to family counseling or whatever. Oh, I don't need to do that. I ain't never been to counseling. I'm blah 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 years old. We really got to get back to. We got to get somebody in the middle to get to the root of the problem. Just like the young lady in the video. If she would have went to had somebody, went to counseling and got the help that she needed, then maybe she would not have reverted her anger by damaging his items. I just feel like that anyway. What do you think?
I hear you. I agree. I agree.
And not her toxic friends that are going to continue keeping her toxic. Girl, get him. We sometimes are our own enemies, or we help our friends destroy themselves, or we destroy them too. If you can't feed positive into your friend, into your sister, into whoever, just be quiet, because you're helping spread the fire. You're not trying to be a solution. You're actually trying to fuel it and continue to be a problem. So you part of the problem too.
Yep, I agree.
They're only a part of the problem because personally they're going through the same thing. They can't do no better because they in bad by themselves. But I hear what King D is saying, because I was in a later relationship, and I always tell women who I deal with, I'm real close to God. So if you do something out of order, God gonna trick on you. I say that every time. I give that. I'm telling you, I give that like the "I love you" speech. And evidently, this young lady didn't believe all of that and did what she did. And the wife of the husband reached out to me, showed me what was going on. And the first thing I did, like a good husband, I went back to my wife. And, I said, "Hey," we had that conversation. But then God got to working, and the Spirit started doing what it had to do. Confessions were made. Again, young people doing young things. We wasn't really ready. Thought we was grown, but all of a sudden there was a evil and a hatred. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be that time. I'm done. I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to live right, and I still feel like I got disrespected. Now my anger is on 50,000, and what it took for me to take my hand and put it around her neck through a wall meant nothing. And I went to my pastor, and my pastor prayed for me. But not only did he pray for me, but he took me off into a corner and had some real honest talk with one black man to another black man. And I promise you, he saved me from a jail sentence. He saved me from being out of order. He saved me from just everything that we went in the situation. And I must say thank you, because the way he put my mind, I have the most beautiful relationship with all my family, all my children, my ex-wives, my baby's mom. Everybody get along. And that goes back to that village living. As Africans, we stay close to each other because we all we got. But we got to be healthy to one another.
Yes.
We got to be healthy. Men got to learn how to talk to women. Women got to learn how to talk to men. I waiting for the government.
We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna definitely take a quick break. Before we take this break, I just want to let everybody know that please tune in to YouTube channel, Twitch, and Twitter to continue watching the show. Facebook has did something, block or something, this discussion, but we're not gonna let that stop us. So please continue watching this on Twitch and Twitter, watching this on YouTube. But we'll be right back after this break.
She was incredibly violent. I'll give you 3 or 4 examples. She placed lit cigarettes at my nostrils and forced me to go to sleep with those cigarettes still in my nose. She held my eyes open while she sprayed bleach into them. She assaulted me with a steam iron. She placed it on my left lower arm, on my upper right shoulder and in the middle of my shoulder blades. She boiled a kettle and poured it over my groin, and then whilst I was stuck to a leather sofa writhing in agony, she reboiled that kettle and re-poured it over my groin, and I'd got to the point where I was so mentally ground down I lost almost 25% of my body weight. I have 2 permanent indentations in my left shoulder where I was attacked with a hammer with such ferocity that the handle of the hammer actually broke. Her justification was that I didn't tell her often enough that I loved her and I didn't instigate the physical side of the relationship. That was her justification for the violence, that I'd made her feel unattractive. But the fact is for men that the other additional difficulty is that they may not be believed if they come forward, so there's a challenge there. But all victims should find the strength to confide in someone because help is out there. I know that from my own experience.
Come back on.
Welcome back to the Spicy Plate of Spoken Hour. We're about to come to an ending to the show, but I need to go ahead and let my brother say a few words, let the people know what you're going to be up to, what you have going on. We truly appreciate you being here and sharing your story with us. So if you have anything out there to say, encourage words of what you are up to, please let them know out there.
There was one organization I belong to that really means a lot to me right now, and it's called We Speak for the Voiceless. I'm working with Karen Chatham and some more Tonians here, and yeah, that's us now. What we did is us artists have gotten together to put on plays to tell the stories of domestic violence, stories of mental health, sex abuse, and what we want to do is be that voice for the voiceless, to speak up and let the voiceless know that that's not what you are. There are people who get it, who go through it, and the only way that we can do better is we expose it. Chairman Fred Hampton used to say that Black people move like this. They believe they move because of participation and repetition. Participation and repetition. We keep doing something enough that everybody gonna want to join and get in. And that's what I feel we have to do with this time, to let these folks who believe that they're voiceless know that they're not. We hear you, we see you, we honor you, we respect you, and whatever you need I'm going to try to make sure I be a helping hand instead of a foot on your neck.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. We also want to let everybody know that please get your Purple Hearts in. This is, the time is getting short, so please get your Purple Hearts in. And also, before we hear from the rest of the panel, we want to talk about the show that's coming up Saturday. Emily Nevis will be talking and discussing her this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. So please tune in to watch the show, please. I want to say that, like I say, I appreciate our guests for being here. I'd like to know if my assistant co-hosts have any words to say.
Yes.
Miss Tanique.
Just like I've said before, violence is violence. Men can be in just as bad as violence as a woman can, and as women, we have to do better as well as we keep telling our men counterparts. We have to do better too. If you have a problem, you got because a lot of times this is generational. It happened to you, so you can feel that you can take your anger out on your significant other. And it's not right. If you don't want it done unto you, don't do it to others. And I'm like, God bless him. I feel help.
Yes. Queen Keisha.
All right. Hello, everybody. Ladies, these are our men that are there, our protectors, our providers, and we need to treat them as such. Keep them lifted up. Keep them fed. If they bring you groceries, cook them a meal. We have to take care of our men so that they can in turn help raise the next generation coming up and instill in them the things that need to be there versus the violence and domestic abuse and all the things that young children. I was going to a clinic, and just to see all the children that have mental things going on just astonished me. So the problem is coming from somewhere. So if we as parents, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, aunties, uncles stick together, like Mr. Mondrea said, and keep the family, close it up like that insurance, keep the family tight so we can continue to raise healthy children. Thank you.
Indeed.
As a world and as a community in whole, let's stop let's stop the violence. Period. Let's continue to live, love, laugh. Let's stop the generational curses that are continually happening in different communities. It's not only the African American community; it's the world in whole. Let's just let's just live, love, laugh, and let's just continue to let's break these cycles, man. We got to.
That's my brother. Yes. Yes. I just want to thank everybody for the show. It's been a great show. Where can they? I want to ask my brother here. Where can they follow you for events and things that you have coming up pretty soon?
I'm real vocal on Facebook. Mondrea Harmon on Facebook. Come on and I'll invite you in. I'll share with you. I'm Mondrea on Instagram. Get at me there. But get at me. And if I could steal a couple of seconds, I'm listening to what everybody has said, and it was really just put on my heart to just look to who else listening and who all is watching, and just say to the women who catching hell, there are some real brothers who love and want to love. Maybe some of us didn't learn to love until late because they had to learn to love themselves because of what has happened to us. But if we get over that and have the support and love of our ladies, that woman said, if they bring you groceries, cook a meal. I hear you. I understand. If you do this, let me do that. So we work together. We're not in
Yes.
competition with one another.
Yes.
But I want to give you the love that you give me. If I have a problem with anything, it's who love who more and who shows it more. That's what I want to get into.
Right.
I want to love you until you get diabetes because the sugar is so sweet. That's what I want to do. And I want somebody who feels
That's what's up, my brother.
somebody who feels the same way.
Yes, love that. Love that. Yes.
I'll drink to that. Oh no.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Yes, I love that.
But imagine how
you know you got those words, my brother. You got those words in the board.
It's not like you don't have a
I just want to tell everybody.
Huh?
You're gonna have a whole bunch of ladies in his inbox.
Yes. Yes. But I just want to let everybody know that I want everybody to know that Spicy Graves will be back Saturday here Saturday and upcoming Thursday. She's still recovering, but she will be back Saturday and Thursday. Spicy, we praying for you. We know you're still in the recovery. We miss you. We can't wait for you to get back here. The show is nothing without you. So we can't wait to have you back here Saturday. For everybody, please stay tuned for the show Saturday, and she'll be here Thursday. I just want to say this is a great show. I love it. It's the Missing Mountain Month, and everybody, you know, there's an 800 number there. So please, if you're going through anything, please call that number, get help. And we love you. Much love to everybody, and God bless. We'll see you here at Saturday at 7 p.m. So please, Spicy Grave will be on the show. So please join us for the Saturday show. Nothing but love to y'all.